It's already.
Yeah.
And then you go to the so you have a panelist and a representative.
Yeah.
They have to read it. It's a little different than the school committee. That's the.
Just to.
Yeah. Just over here for both things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's one.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
seven.
Wait.
Wait, wait for seven to try. Gotta
Well,
conserve
she's in
power.
Right now.
Okay. So it's right now outside. It's gonna be.
Mhm. Yeah.
Most days, actually. It's my age.
Margaret did the whole patch my eye all last week.
Did you feel the pirate?
I did. I did make
You wished you had a pirate.
I did that. I have my dogs.
That's good.
But it's still a little better.
I mean, if you're right, that's better. Oh, really? It's still.
I'm going a guy up
Okay, you need an actual doctor. Yeah, you just give it.
No, I went to my doctor. I had two opinions.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just my eyes. I get it.
Take.
The other back.
Yeah. You.
It's good thing we have an IT professional there.
Hi, Steve. How you doing? How are you? Yeah.
He's a talking to me.
Of course, as soon as I, the mute button disappears, kind of like, get out. I can find the front. That's all right. I control by these three people who do computers, like, that's my computer, would be surprised.
Is that the technical word?
That's not a technical word they use. It's a POS. That's not
Yes.
iOS. or-
Yeah. I never knew.
Primitive operating system.
Yeah. I think that's what they.
Primal.
You have to hamster at home. So something spinning the wheel. It's the young kid with the good eyes. See, it's not small. It's the young kid with good eyes. You see stuff. Hi there. No, just next time like this. I can see that better. You said good months last month, yeah.
It's a big one.
I get to see the Russians, the new vice chair. Oh, right after.
You want to change Mark's name from Linda?
Nah, leave it.
It's okay, I'm exceptional.
This Mars for good, just not the chambers, was Mark.
Good to see you again.
Okay, Ryan.
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Okay, Kevin, I'm good.
We're all good?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our October 12th Town Council meeting. Before we begin, I just want to go through our evacuation procedures in the event of an emergency. We have two doors on the side here that we would exit, or door in the front here. We'd exit the building and meet across the street at the school administration building and await further instruction. Now, if we could all stand for a moment of silence from that woman starting on the way.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, and as a reminder, we are also live streaming tonight. For those of you participating from home, you'll have the icon on your computer screen to indicate you have a question. If you're calling in by phone, hit *9 to indicate you'll have a question, and *6 will allow you to mute and unmute your phone. Whether you're online, on the phone, or here in person tonight, if you will be speaking, please state your name and address for the town clerk. And with that, we will begin by taking a roll call.
Ms. Abbott?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Hamilton?
Present.
Dr. Ryan?
Here.
Mr. Aguirre?
Brett. Okay. Did not have an executive summary. Moving on to our consent agenda. Bill,
Move to approve as presented.
Seconded.
all in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we'll be sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. First item is the gunsmith gun dealer license. Annual, it's two, or is it just one? Just
Well,
the two?
it's,
Just the-
Discussion, may I ask a question of the police chief?
Yes.
I'm sorry, for the gunsmith license, have you inspected the facility?
We haven't inspected it. We did review the plans when they originally brought it in, but I knocked it down. Or anybody from the office would count. So,
Are you comfortable with us approving this now, or should we wait a couple weeks?
I would be comfortable reviewing the place first. And Chris asked if you put it on to the next council meeting.
Motion to forward this to the next council meeting, pending review for the police department.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Motion to adjourn as the board of license commissioners.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have minutes from our September 18th meeting, as well as our September 27th meeting and executive minutes.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have tax vouchers, 2021 1012-01 and 2021 1012-08.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. On to our town administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. President, Town Council, ladies and gentlemen. With respect to the audiovisual renovation updates, we plan to start work on November 23rd and finish on December 2nd. Staff training will be conducted on the system following the installation of the new equipment. This is all contingent upon receipt of ordered parts. There is a substantial lag in the entire country's logistics system. Last Friday, a ceremony was held at Legion Park to honor Portsmouth recipients of the Purple Heart. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to those who generously helped make the event possible. There's Carolyn Evans Carberry, Senator James Seveny, Representatives Kerry Corcoran and Michelle McGaugh, Town Council, the Director of Public Works, Brian Woodhead, our Chief of Police, Colonel Brian Peters, and the men and women of our Public Works and Police departments. I reported previously that the Rhode Island Department of Transportation has offered to take ownership of all streetlights located on state roads, contingent upon their conversion to LED lighting. These lights approach 40% of the streetlight inventory in Portsmouth. As it stands now, we are responsible for the electricity costs on all streetlights. LED conversion of all streetlights, combined with the significant reduction in the inventory of lights in town, could represent a significant potential cost savings to the town. We're discussing how such an initiative could work in Portsmouth, and we will prepare a streetlight conversion RFP for your review and discussion at a future council meeting. DEM has announced the availability of $4 million in outdoor recreation funding to help communities build and expand local recreation resources. The grant applications are due December 17th. We are working on proposals for Portsmouth and will present those for your review at the second council meeting in November. A SNEP public workshop was held last Thursday evening. To refresh your memory, SNEP is the Southeast New England Program Network. The network brings together 16 partner entities who work collaboratively to provide access to free training and technical assistance to advance stormwater management and ecological restoration goals across the region. Our submission for SNEP assistance in developing a town-wide climate resiliency planning and financing strategy was approved in May of 2020. Since then, SNEP has been facilitating work to refine and prioritize our highest priority capital needs within those goals. The workshop's goal was to refine a climate resiliency capital improvement plan and lay the groundwork which will provide the basis for financing options. The next step will be for the SNEP network to help identify the costs associated with the items that will go on this CIP plan. And lastly, our audit team completed their field work last Thursday evening. Things have been progressing smoothly, and we expect the final report to be completed well before the December 31st due date. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Okay. And moving on to our resignations and appointments. First item is a resignation for the tree commission, Mr. Jack Buckhead.
Move to accept the grant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguilar?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have appointments to the Conservation Commission. Mr. Mark Smith.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguilar?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have Parks and Recs Committee. We have an application for nothing.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguilar?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. On to the town council appointment. I would like to acknowledge the 8 applicants. We have Cynthia Andriola, Sandra Blank, Eileen Sherno, Michael P. Paola, Mike Katzman, Aaron Dowell, Jonathan Mosier, and Theodore Pikes. I'd like to thank all of the applicants for submitting their names for consideration to the council. As you know, we are responsible to appoint one candidate tonight. If for the other folks, I would encourage you to stay involved in the town. We appreciate your involvement. And I would also encourage you to consider, seeking office next year when we are all up for election again in 2022. So if you come up short tonight, please stay involved, and good luck if you are not. You are encouraged to seek the election next year.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Leonard Katzman to fill the currently vacant position.
We have a second.
You need one. Second.
Okay.
I think we do.
All right.
Are we going to discuss this anymore, or?
Yes, we are. Well, at least I plan to.
Yeah.
If you would like to go first.
No, I'd love to listen.
If I may, Mr. President.
You may.
I'll be voting against this, mostly because we had this exact opportunity back in 2018. After the previous election in 2018, there were 2 vacancies for Mr. Kelly and Ms. Fortune on the school committee. And when the person who had run for the office was not elected or selected by this town council, because as Mr. Castman pointed out to me, that's not how it works. So I don't believe this should be how it works here. There are people, and I agree with you that it would be nice if all the people who have applied would run next year, but there's at least 2 people who can only be appointed, so therefore can only run for a year, work on a council for a year. I believe
Why is that?
because they're hashtags. They're either work at the Navy base or for the Navy. Or
So they can be appointed, but they can't run.
correct. Because you cannot run in
What?
an election where there are partisan elections, which brings me to my second point. Earlier last year in 2020, we had the opportunity as a council to leave it to our voters and to see if they would like to have nonpartisan elections. This council decided that, no, we do not want to do the recommendation of our Charter Review Commission that worked for over 10 months to bring those recommendations to us. So those are the reasons that I will not vote for Mr. Katzman. I enjoy working with Mr. Katzman, but I think this council has an opportunity to choose from 6 of the other 7 candidates to select somebody that might bring a new set of thoughts, processes, ways of looking at things, whatever you want to this council that might help move our town forward rather than staying in a partisan position that we are in with the current council.
Thank you.
So if I don't know, I can't remember, but I believe we can actually ask for other nominations
Yes.
at this point in time. So I would like to nominate because this council has always been, for lack of a better term, male dominated. And I'm not sure, I don't believe this Sandra Blank would be part of the hatch act because other people who have worked at Raytheon have went for office with me. That's here, Senator Palmer, former representative. I believe Raytheon workers can. Be federal dollars. But I would like to nominate Sandra Blank as the representative of the town council.
We have 2 nominations, 2 seconds. We will vote for each candidate and we have the nomination. So all those in favor of Mr. Kaplan? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. 3 for Mr. Kaplan. All those in favor of Mr. Blunt?
Aye.
Mr. Blunt. So Mr. Kaplan. who have been appointed to the council. But although it's not on the agenda tonight, but the town clerk could swear you in following this council meeting tonight. If you around, if not, you can make arrangements. So, thank you, Scott. I'd like to thank all the candidates for their consideration. Okay. The old business. The first item under old business. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. I know that's the bad. I do want to a little bit of housekeeping. The first item under new business that was has been withdrawn by the applicant. So if you were here tonight for the approval for an easement across Comrade Ave, the applicant is asked to withdraw that application, so it will not be heard tonight. It may be heard at a future meeting if they bring it back, but it's being withdrawn. Right. So old business number one, it's a resolution urging support of the General Assembly.
You're not gonna get rid of me, President Aguirre, and I apologize, but I want to get this done. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Gavin, thank you to Mr. Arena, thank you to town clerk for helping with me, because I understand I read the resolution. We have a resolution to get this party started. Okay? I would like the council to consider in its application process, people on a committee. I said I would like to serve on said committee, and I would like others that have specific goals, a grant writer, an engineer, somebody that wants to do good research over and turn it into, so, I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's been over there and it's 22 years old. So please, let's get this thing going. And I spoke with Madam Clerk today. She will prepare the resolution, she'll send it to our state guys, and then I'll be in Representative Edwards' space, I'll be in Representative Settings' space, so that they get this resolution to the two House and Senate chairs, right? I would ask Mr. Rayner, because I know that Mr. Crosby is just overwhelmed all the time. So I would ask Mr. Rayner, with his guidance, if we could do a lot of stuff ourselves, so we're not taking away from Mr. Crosby and the town, the town's mission. There's going to be a lot of research that's got to be done, but I'm just excited to get this done. Yeah, we took a toll off a bridge, we took down 19 roadworks lines, we can do this. So thank you, and I appreciate the support, and I think the resolution went far enough to get this thing started.
So read the resolution. I will read the resolution. Resolution urging support of the General Assembly in the renovation and beautification of the Stone Bridge abutment in Teddy's Beach, in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Whereas the state of Rhode Island owns and controls the Stone Bridge abutment and the adjacent waterfront property immediately to the south, known as Teddy's Beach, located on Park Ave in Portsmouth. Whereas in 2019, a portion of Stone Bridge abutment in Portsmouth eroded and collapsed into the Second River. And whereas the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, RIDOT, controls the Stone Bridge abutment, installed fencing to close off property for public use due to safety concerns. And whereas the Stone Bridge abutment continues to be closed for public use, state of serious disrepair and deterioration, and a terrible eyesore on the Park Ave waterfront. Teddy's Beach is also not properly cleaned, maintained, or managed by the state for use as a public beach. And whereas across the Second River in Tiverton, the Stone Bridge abutment and the adjacent waterfront property immediately to the south, known as Fresnel Beach, located on Main Road, recently renovated, upgraded, and improved to create a beautiful waterfront park and recreation facility for public use. And whereas the Stone Bridge abutment and Teddy's Beach should be renovated, upgraded, and improved in similar fashion. And whereas in 2019, the director of RIDOT publicly stated that RIDOT planned to work for the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, renovating, improving, and transforming the bridge abutment and Teddy's Beach and waterfront park for public use. status. There has been no apparent progress by RIDA, or the state or other state departments, agencies, or officials towards the development of a new public park and recreation facility, the Stonebridge Development, Teddy Beach properties, of course. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Portsmouth Town Council hereby requests and urges the Rhode Island General Assembly to actively pursue and utilize any and all federal, state, and other funding that may be available to develop a new waterfront park recreation facility at Stonebridge Development and Teddy Beach properties, of course, at the earliest possible date. After this day, 12th of October, 2021. So now, well, we have
Motion to approve the resolution and send it off to our state officials and the regular DOT and actually our federal delegation as well. Federal funding.
all those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye, motion passes 5-0.
Excellent. Great job.
Next,
Get to work.
we have the Island Park Playground updates, Mr. Woodhead.
Council President, members of the council, I'd just like to give you guys council an update of the parks and playgrounds CIP that was budgeted for this fiscal year. I've attached the overlay and the 3D designs for the Island Park playground upgrade. There are 4 items that will be leaving in place. One is going to be the swing structure, train, the pole car, spring rider, and also the whales. Our plan is to close the playground November 1st for removal of the equipment and the site preparation that is needed. The installation for the play structure is scheduled for November 15th. We plan to, it's going to take about 2 months to complete. This area will be fenced off and signage will be installed, letting everyone know that they're on. Thank you if anyone has any questions.
I'm glad you did the springing wheel.
It's called Word.
I don't think I can get that.
Motion to approve the contract with O'Brien and Sons.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Hamilton? Sorry, Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And next item is a request to approve $35,000 for the Island Park basketball court upgrade. Mr. Woodhead.
Council President of the council, this also too is for the playground down Island Park. We're requesting the council approve $35,000 from the town capital reserve fund for the upgrade of the Island Park playground basketball court. This court is presently 75 by 39 feet. If approved, we will remove the old playing surface and excavate the area needed to accommodate a new court that will be 84 feet by 50 feet along this rate.
Move to approve contract with their against approved upgrades to the park basketball.
Second.
So we just approved the money because we're still looking to see if we can get something up installed by.
Okay,
I'd
good.
say,
Okay.
Brian,
So,
is there any question when you excavate what's underneath the playground?
not really, because when we excavate out, one of the materials we removed, we're going to put that all around.
you're not-
One of the landfills.
There's a dump in that area.
That was.
way
That was
over. Half a
Mr.
mile away.
Sorry,
So a
Mr.
motion to
Hamilton?
approve, not more than $35,000 for the improvement of the Island Park basketball courts.
Those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye, motion passes 5-0.
Mr. President, I'm sorry, I neglected to announce that the Parks and Recreation Committee also endorsed this.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, next we are going on to new business number 2. Which is a request for the reaffirmation of the 1996 policy regarding snow plowing of private roads. Mr. Woodhead.
Council President, members of the council. Back in 1996, the council adopted a policy stating that the town no longer plow snow on private streets in the town of Portsmouth. I attached the minutes of that meeting along with the Rhode Island General Law that was passed in 2018. Public Works would like to request the town council to reaffirm the policy that we will work, and I'll work with councilors to draft a letter informing residents of expired roads of the policy. Sending out these letters now will ensure residents of expired roads have enough time prior to the winter season to make proper arrangements.
Mr. Woodhead, what is the practice of other towns in the state regarding route bound by the road?
We did a survey of 39 municipalities. There's like 6 that do private roads along with us, but other than that, no one does.
So this is just a request for the council to reaffirm a previous council decision back in 1996.
Which was never reversed, right?
It was never reversed, but it was never.
This is just a patch hazard at best.
Partially common on certain roads. Just confirms that all private roads will now have to be plowed private. It's also a recommendation from our experts. Well, I move that we reaffirm the no private road paved plowing policy.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott? Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Business number 3 is the portfolio contract. Mr. Brandon?
Mr. President, town council, the new portfolio contracts ended this season. We have been working all summer with new portfolio and the Enforcement Economic Development Committee. What you have before you is the result of this negotiation. Much of the contract remains the same. I'll just highlight the changes. The term would be 5 years, ending September 30th, 2026, at which time the leasing has an option to request a renewal of the lease for one additional 5-year term. In Article 1, paragraph 1.4, the previous contract had a provision for the use of what was called Building 3 for storage. That building has since been demolished. So we changed the language and revised it so that if desired, new portfolio may create 1,000 square feet of substitute storage space on the premises for exclusive use with the town's prior consent. The biggest change is in the fee structure, Article 3, paragraph 3.1. Under the revised fee structure, 100%, we anticipate a 100% increase in the revenue to the town from the portfolio. This would be achieved through a $1 per ticket fee for each match throughout the year. The fee paid to the town per ticket sold for each new portfolio match will increase by the same percentage increase in ticket prices over the previous year in years 2 to 5. So if the portfolio increases by 10%, we would get 10% increase. Payments are to be paid to the town each year in 4 monthly installments beginning on July 1st. Previous contracts had the installments beginning June 1st, which was really awkward because the season starts in June. So this will align the payments with the follow season. Each payment shall be submitted with a record of tickets sold for audit purposes. And then additionally, new portfolio will pay the town $750 for each special event that is not part of the follow schedule is already covered in the contract. And lastly, in Article 24, paragraph 24.3, new portfolio will cooperate in the scheduling, promotion, and production of any events at the Glen Farm facility to include parking on a not to interfere basis with new portfolio operations and subject to the condition of the parking field. And those are the changes to the contract we would ask that you review.
Quick question. That 1,000 square foot building, are we looking at putting it back where building 3 was?
Yeah, we go in the same, we go if
Oh, just over in the barn area, not on the whole.
if the new portfolio chooses to create storage space, it would be in the same spot where building 3 was.
President, I would make a motion that we approve the new contract with the portfolio.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Dr. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have the police MOA. Okay.
If you remember,
Is that question on
That was about the, Sam.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty much.
if the council remember when we approved the current 5-year collective bargaining agreement with the police officers union, there was one element that was still to be negotiated that we all agreed would be continued to be negotiated and presented to you as a memorandum of agreement. We concluded that negotiation. In the memo prepared by our labor attorney, I'll just highlight what we've done. The purpose of that negotiation was to implement a department structure that varies from the current CBA. So we will create 2 additional captain positions. These are 2 new positions that would become effective July 1st, 2022. The salary for the 2 captain positions will be equal to the lieutenant salary as currently set forth in the CBA. And then those captains will receive an additional annual stipend, which is non-pensionable. Additionally, the lieutenants would receive an additional stipend, which is non-pensionable. We create separation between the detectives, lieutenants, and sergeants. So there will be a stipend paid there, in addition to the sergeants, all of which are non-pensionable. I'll turn it over to the chief of police, where he can discuss some of the other details and answer some of your questions.
Mr. President, members of the council, the proposal we have in front of you this evening is a plan to improve the supervision of the police department. Currently, the department only requires a police officer with as little as 3 years experience to provide supervision during a shift. This plan does not increase the size of the police department, but rather places officers into supervision roles that provide for supervisors on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is a much needed improvement to the police department to have adequate supervision, especially deal with law enforcement issues that we see today. We ask for your approval for this MOA before.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. Read this for us, Christian Court. Question. As I read through this document, well, first of all, I should say, I don't believe that this agenda item is properly noticed. Agenda. If you look at it, you'll see that it says the order of MOA. And that's not very formal. It's official agenda of this meeting is not published at the Secretary of State. I always get told, well, it's in the agenda, it's in the attachments. Attachments don't go with the official agenda. I would suggest this thing. Ending that, however, ask a couple of questions. Paragraph 4 says when the members promoted to the new captain positions first become retirement eligible, the defined benefit pension capped at 60%. That's what's on. I thought we closed the pension plan. Some time ago.
And Mr. President, there are still members in the police unit who are in the whole pension plan. This paragraph is there to account for that there are lieutenants who would be eligible for the captain positions. If they are selected, they're already in the pension system. We wouldn't be adding anybody new into the pension system. It's just recognizing that there are still some people under they're in the old pension system that could be eligible and could be promoted into these captain positions, which is why we capped their benefit at 60%.
Just to clarifying, our pension system is.
That is correct.
I'm presuming that these individuals, although they're clearly not identified, it's not identified here. At any rate, they've been contributing to the pension plan.
For as long as they've been approved.
Are they involved in the 401k? 401k?
No, you have three different plans in town. You have the 401k, which is just referred to. There are people that were grandfathered in when we switched to the 401k who remain in the pension plan. And then you have the majority of police force who are now in MERS. I don't know enough from police. I don't know if any police members are still in the 401. I think they transitioned to MERS. So they're either in the state municipal employee retirement system or the old timers, as I call them, are still in the town pension plan. Which is
Also note that the fiscal impact statement part of this, we should factor this included. Oh, yeah, thank you. I'd also like to have some action on whether or not you're going to go forward with this agenda item.
So, yeah, it's properly noticed.
Well, anyone can, disagree, but I don't think the issue, whether it's, in this meeting, with the public as to what the actual business is. So I think it's sufficient. It's MOA for the court, I mean, before the council, and I think it's. I will go forward. And go ahead.
I don't see, other than writing a specific vote to approve. What's that, discussing an action?
Yeah.
Practice, let's discussion.
For example, if there's a case of an partner, the item is interview candidates for position. And said they were going to appoint. In that case, this lady of the public can take this. And I think the facts, the words.
Thanks, yeah. Okay. I mean, I would agree that, I think the application that was presented is sufficient. Not the full contract that was previously discussed. This is just a follow-up prior discussion. So I think this was ample notice. And I'm comfortable.
That's easier. Put it on, sorry. Yes, yes.
Is there a problem with putting out?
Other than the police union's expecting us to go on tonight, it might cause more.
I mean, I will vote for it on advice of the council, but the quick Google search doesn't have a memorandum of agreement come up as the first thing right away. This Mall of America, Mall of Asia, flightless birds from New Zealand, but of course, we all understand, but somebody may look at the agenda and not, so.
It also says contract financials.
Does it actually on the Secretary of State's website? It's not, it's the backup's not there.
And those are distinct, so we get probably.
They are, you're right. Okay, if our council has told us that we can vote on it. I can't guarantee that this is more, if I'm not gonna file another one of the meeting in connection to the Attorney General. I can just say, I think under the circumstances.
So if we vote on it, just vote on it tonight. If it's challenged and it's found to be not properly noticed.
I don't want to speculate.
No, I'm just saying if, I mean, we just having to vote on it again after different notification.
Correct.
Okay.
Chief, I think I hate to put you on the spot, but is this really gonna upset the union if we wait 2 weeks? Or is it gonna hamstring you because you can't move forward with your reorganization?
Well, let's put things on hold. I mean, we are trying to get things in place by July, so. I'll tell you, it's not gonna be the end of the world, but, let's put things back.
If I could add, right above under number 3, it says Newport Polo contract, doesn't say. I mean, it says discussion action.
Says discussion action, the entire section.
Right, yeah. Oh, all right, right. It says that in the entire section, so that applies to, fire.
I'll make a motion that we approve the police department's, police union's memorandum of agreement for the next 3 years of agreement contract regulars. 2023.
25.
You'll love to change.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Ms. Abbott,
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
On the advice of the town solicitor, aye.
Dr. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Okay, next we have correspondence.
Move to receive and place on file.
Second.
Favor?
Ms. Abbott,
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Dr. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Future meetings, October 25th, for 8, and all at 7 p.m. Town council chambers.
President, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ms. Abbott,
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Dr. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you all. We'll see you on the 24th.